Okay, so for yin today, we'll start seated. Up to you which direction you want to turn. I'm going to turn to face the side of the mat so you can see me. Soles of the feet to the mat, hands back behind you. So you're sitting reclined and toes turn out because the knees are turned out. And you definitely want to keep the feet wide because you want enough room to bring the knees side to side. So just take it slow. We're just starting with some dynamic movement to start to open up the hips. I was just telling the group today before I hit record that we'll focus more on the lower body, opening up the hips, legs. There was also a request for shoulders, so we'll work that in a little bit too. But this is a nice way to get the body slowly moving, opening up the hips. Just do one more time each side, maybe getting a little lower with the knees, not pushing it too much. We're just starting out. And then you'll come back to seated. Let's turn to face forward if you turn to face the side. And hands still back behind you, reclined. Extend the legs out in front of you, still sitting back. Take the right ankle, cross it on top of the left thigh, just above the knee. And then start to slide this left foot in toward the body. So this is the hip opening here. It's like thread the needle, but we're keeping the chest up this time. And you can get the chest as close as you want to the legs. That's how to make it more intense. But just make sure this right foot, the toes you can see that are right in front of the face, that foot's flexed. You don't want it to be relaxed. That protects the knee. Keep lifting the chest up. Take a big breath in through the nose. Back out through the nose. This time in through the nose. Back out through the mouth. In through the nose. Exhale back out through the mouth. This time in through the nose. Back out through the nose. Start to extend that left leg forward, then the right leg, switching sides. So left ankle, right thigh. Slowly start to slide the right foot in. This side could be totally different. Left foot is flexed, chest is lifted. So try to take any rounding out of the back. You can move the legs away from you if you need to. You can walk the hands back to make that adjustment, but try to keep the back long. And then if you're not feeling anything, then chest and legs come closer to one another. Try to stay with your Ujjayi breath. And extend that right leg forward, then the left leg. Soles of the feet to the mat. Come on down onto your back. Interlace the fingers back behind the head, resting the head in the hands, and then lift the legs up. So legs are straight, feet over the hips. So not too close in toward the body, not too far away. See if you can line them up. Take an inhale, look up. Exhale, lift the upper body up and away from the mat. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. This time, inhale back. Exhale up, stay up. You can keep the legs right where they are. If you want more of a challenge, move the legs away from you like a third of the way. Keep squeezing the inner thighs. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. One more like this. Inhale back. Exhale up. Bring the legs back up so the feet are in line with the hips. See if you can lift the chest up higher, looking up, and then reach the arms forward, palms facing up. Hold this for 3, 2, 1. Hug the knees in toward the chest. You can rest the head, rock side to side. Set the feet down to the mat. Roll over to your right side. Use the hands to bring yourself up to seated. Once you get to seated, let's bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. One more hip opening. So Baddha Konasana, you might need to shift side to side on the hips, sit up tall. We've done a couple of hip openings, so maybe you bring the feet in a little closer. As you bring the chest up, hug the thigh bones into the hip socket so that the knees come down a little bit lower. So keep that length in the inner thighs, and then start to bring the chest forward over the toes. You can grab onto the ankles, inner edges of the feet, shins, whatever you can reach. Try to keep the back long. So sometimes we start to round the spine and dip the head. See if you can keep reaching the heart forward. We are trying to open up the lower half of the body as best we can before we start moving, and then we'll keep going with it as we move. Your breath is really important, especially at the beginning of your practice. It sets the tone for your practice. It also makes these poses more effective. And come back up to seated. Use the hands, bring the knees back to center. Feet come over to one side. Let's come forward to hands and knees. Setting up for cat-cow breath. Stack the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. On the inhale, reach the heart forward, lift the tail. On the exhale, round the spine, chin in toward the chest. Keep going on your own. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Keeping the movement slow. One more cycle, forward and back. You'll come back to a neutral spine. Hands are right underneath the shoulders. Step the feet back behind you. Lower all the way down to the mat. So you're lying on your stomach. Tops of the feet to the mat. Hands back by the lower ribs. Hug the outer elbows in. Come up for a baby cobra. So just a little one. Start to open up the back. Start to get the body used to back bends. And then exhale, release. 2 more. Each one can get a little bit bigger as you get more comfortable. Inhale up, Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, release. Back to hands and knees. Take this to child's pose. Big toes together, hips sit back toward the heels. Forehead comes down to the mat. So some form of child's pose. Keep the hips up high if your knees need more space. Maybe setting an intention for your practice. Maybe something you need to call in for the day ahead. Or maybe just your practice. Lift the gaze, look forward, downward facing dog, shift forward, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. So first downward facing dog, feel free to add some movement to it. You don't have to hold still or keep a bend in the knees. Make sure you're hugging the belly in and lifting the hips up as high as you can and the lowest front ribs. Sometimes we do all of that and then the lowest front ribs start to sink down toward the mat, and that's too big of a back bend. So finding some stillness in your downward facing dog, lift the right leg up and back. Step the right foot forward outside of the right hand. So it's a wide lunge. Back knee can stay up, reach the heart forward. If you'd rather have the back knee down, that's also an option. But try to keep the rounding out of the upper back. Right knee over the right ankle or behind it. Right toes pointing straight forward because that's the way the knee is pointing. Step that right foot back to downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up and back. Look forward at the left hand. Left foot outside of the left hand. Wide lizard lunge. Chest reaches forward. You're stretching that right leg back as you send the left knee forward. Chest is reaching forward. It's a deep opening, so you take it where you want it to go. Step back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, start to walk the feet up between the hands. Take several steps to get there. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. 2 more like that. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time, circle the arms all the way up to standing on your inhale. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. So Urdhva Hastasana. With the feet on the mat, it's like you're trying to spread the mat apart. You'll feel the legs start to engage. So muscles wrapping around the bones. Cactus the arms, just elbows in line with the shoulders is good. Keep the chest wide and the space across the shoulder blades wide. So your hips are pointing straight forward. The trick is keep them pointing straight forward. So especially that right hip, it's going to want to turn, keep it going forward. Open the chest to the right. You won't be able to go that far with the shape of the arms, but this is a nice shoulder opening. So you root down through the legs, you lift up through the crown of the head. So you get the spine as long as you can, and then you start to open the chest to the right without taking the hips with you. So twists are great for our shoulders, especially if we're having any shoulder issues. Could be something to play with to see if you can get some relief. Come back through to center, square the hips, square the chest, make sure there's plenty of space across the shoulder blades. Keep that left hip pointing forward, start to open the chest to the left. Sometimes looking forward definitely helps you keep your hips forward. If you can keep the hips forward and look to the left, then try that or over that left arm. And then you can get the hands right over the elbows. Sometimes they start to go down toward the floor. Try not to let the shoulders go up toward the ears. Slowly come back to center, chest facing forward. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Point the knuckles back, open up across the chest, little bend in the knees, fold forward over the legs. So you can rest the chest on the thighs if you have any lower back stuff happening. If your lower back feels fine, straighten the legs. They don't have to be all the way straight, and bring the weight into the balls of the feet. Let the arms hang back behind you so you get that shoulder opening. Try not to let the shoulders dip down toward the ears. Keep them in place. Then switch the weaving of the fingers. So one index finger over. It'll feel unusual. Bring the hands down to the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower all the way down to the mat with control, tops of the feet touch down, hands back by the lower ribs, take cobra. Exhale, release, downward facing dog, either plank or hands and knees to get to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands, maybe one big step. You can still walk the feet up. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway to chaturanga, then up to up dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Core hugs in, glutes hug in, chest lifts. Exhale back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bend the knees, look up to the top of the mat, bring the feet up lightly up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway to chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. One quick thing about chaturanga that I haven't mentioned in a while, you want to make sure that your shoulders don't go lower than the elbows. So you can always keep the shoulders up higher, but try not to go too low. So it's not quite a push-up. It's more of a tricep push-up, elbows back. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. So let's watch that chaturanga this time. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, so shoulders away from the ears, width across the chest and the shoulder blades. Come to the tops of the feet, upward facing dog. Same thing here, width across the chest and the shoulder blades. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Shoulders are behind the wrists. They're reaching up toward the hips. Heels are going down toward the mat as the hips lift up. One more cycle of Sun Salute A. Bend the knees, look up to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower slowly with control, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot outside of the right hand. Wide lizard lunge. Keep reaching the heart forward. Come back to three-legged down dog. Right leg goes up and back. Right foot steps up between the hands this time. Spin that left heel down flat. Take reverse warrior. So it's a big transition. Right arm goes up and back. Send that right knee straight forward. Try to get the weight even in the legs. Lift up through the right side rib cage. And that right knee is going over the second and third toe. You don't want it caving in. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm up and over the ear. So extended side angle. Outer right hip hugs in toward the midline, chest revolves up toward the sky. Bring the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball, the back foot. So you're in a runner's lunge. Step the left foot up to meet the right foot. So you're standing at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Take chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Weights in the heels of the feet, core hugs in, chest is lifted. Gaze is forward or maybe up for some of us. It just depends on the flexibility behind the chest. Start to shift the weight over to the right foot, hug the left knee in toward the chest and come up to standing. So your chest is lifted, right thigh is pressing back, and you're standing as tall as you can. Gaze is straight forward. Take this left ankle, cross it on top of the right thigh. So coming into standing pigeon. Take your time with it. Hands can come together in front of the heart. Right leg is just like chair pose, and you're trying to square the hips forward. Sometimes they want to open up to the side. And you decide how deep of a bend you have in that right knee. Sit back, opening up the left hip. Feet side by side, chair pose, arms up. Exhale, forward fold, straighten the legs. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, down dog or vinyasa. Skip them when you want to, modify them. You could even take child's pose. From downward facing dog, lift the left leg up and back. Step the left foot outside of the left hand, wide lizard lunge. Hands are just underneath the shoulders, chest reaching forward. You're not here for long. Back to three-legged down dog, left leg up and back. Step the left foot all the way through, up between the hands. Spin the right heel down flat. Reverse warrior. Keep a deep lunge in that front knee. Backhand is light. Lift up with the left side rib cage. Be mindful of that left knee going straight forward, or you can aim it more toward the pinky toe side of the foot. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm up and over, extended side angle. So instead of that, locate the outer right side rib cage. Instead of it going up toward the sky, it's actually coming down toward the left thigh so that you can lift the chest up. Hands come down to the mat. You're on the ball of the back foot. Step the right foot up to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, Utkatasana chair. Stay with the gaze forward. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Come up to standing. Right ankle, left thigh, sit back, hands come together like prayer, standing pigeon. And one side might be easier than the other. Often that's the case with balance, but now we're adding a hip opening, a deep hip opening on top of that balance. Right foot comes down to the mat, chair pose, arms up. Exhale, forward fold, straighten the legs. Let the head and the neck go. Inhale up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. Couple breaths in your downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back, three-legged down dog. Step the right foot up outside the right hand, wide lizard lunge. Chest reaches forward. Keep that left thigh lifted if you can. Back to three-legged down dog, right leg up and back. Send the right foot forward between the hands. Reverse warrior. Take your time. Get the heel to arch alignment or heel to heel. Right arm reaches up and back. Extended side angle, forearm to thigh, or you're welcome to bring the right hand outside the right hip. You've done a lot of hip opening considering where we're at in your practice. Hands come down to the mat. You're on the ball of the back foot. Step that left foot up to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Sit back. Chair pose. Left knee comes in toward the chest. Bring it up to standing. This time, right hand stays with the left knee, left arm reaches back. So you can keep the gaze going forward until you get the stability in the standing twist. Gaze forward if you haven't changed it, or if you've already changed it. Reach the arms up toward the sky. Keeping the arms up, can you bring the left ankle to the right thigh? Hands come together. Sit back, standing pigeon. You can keep the hands in prayer. You could also play with coming down lower with the chest. Some of you might even be able to touch the floor in front of you, the mat in front of you. Fingertips, if it seems like it's too far or too much to ask, skip this. It's only if it's available. And you want that obvious decision. If the hands are down, bring them back to prayer pose. Left foot steps down to the mat. Reach the arms up, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, hands to the mat. Make your way back to downward facing dog with or without a vinyasa. Left leg reaches up and back. Left foot outside of the left hand, wide lizard lunge. Back to your three-legged down dog. Step the left foot up between the hands. Take your time, reverse warrior, spin that right heel down flat. Left arm reaches up and back. Extended side angle, either forearm to thigh or left hand outside the foot. Hands to the mat. You're on the ball of the back foot. Step the right foot up to meet the left. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Come up to standing. Level off the sit bones. Left hand stays with the right knee. Reach back with the right arm. Gaze can be forward or to the right. Just stand as tall as you can, keeping that left quad pressing back. Gaze is forward. Reach the arms up overhead. Right ankle, left thigh. Sit back, hands come together, standing pigeon. Chest can come down lower once you have the hips square. Maybe you play with the hands coming down to the mat in front of you. And it might work on one side, not be available on the other. If the hands are down, bring them back in front of the chest, back prayer. Right foot steps down to the mat, reach the arms up, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Take an extra breath. Inhale in through the nose, back out. Inhale up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, hands to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back, three-legged down dog. Right foot steps up outside the right hand, wide lizard lunge, chest is reaching forward. This time, look down at the mat, step the left foot forward outside of the left hand, coming into a yogi squat at the top of the mat. Maybe the elbows inside the thighs, hands together like prayer, and chest lifting up. Malasana. Hands come back down to the mat, toes point forward. Once you get the hands down, step the left foot back behind you. You're back in that wide lizard lunge. Right leg goes up and back, three-legged down dog. Step the right foot up between the hands, reverse warrior. Spin the left heel down flat, right arm reaches up and back. Extended side angle, legs stay the same. We just reach that left arm up and over and bring the torso forward. Hands to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot. Left foot steps up to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Weight goes into the right leg. Hug the left knee into the chest. Come up to standing. Right hand, left knee stay together. Reach back with that left arm. Maybe look to the left. Just stand as tall as you can, or you can even look at that back hand. Keeping it in line with the shoulder. Gaze starts to come forward. Reach the arms up overhead. Cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Sit back, standing pigeon. Hands can come together. Maybe you fold forward if you feel like there's enough space to do that. Maybe you bring the hands down to the mat. Could be fingertips, palms could be flat down. If the palms are flat, then you can hook that left foot outside the right tricep. And then that left knee is going up against the left tricep. All right, come back up, hands come together, step the feet side by side, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. This time, hands come together right down in front of the heart, twist to the left, hook the elbow outside of the left thigh, sit the hips down, lift the chest up. Look down at the mat, straighten the legs, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway if you're taking the vinyasa. Inhale up for your back bend, legs strong. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Left foot outside the left hand, wide lizard lunge. Get the heart and gaze going forward. Then step the right foot outside the right hand, Malasana yogi squat. Heels are down on the ground no matter what. So you can keep the hands down to keep the heels down. If you don't need the hands down to keep the heels down, then bring the hands together in front of the heart. Hands come down if they're not already. Point the toes forward. Hands are flat on the mat. Step the right leg back. Wide lizard lunge. Left leg goes up and back. Three-legged down dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Spin that right heel down flat. Reverse warrior. Extended side angle, right arm up and over the ear. Right hand to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot. Right foot steps up to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. Shift the weight to the left foot. Right knee comes in toward the chest. We rise up to standing. Right arm reaches back behind you. Core hugs in. Maybe you open the gaze and the chest to the right. Maybe you look at that back hand. Bring the gaze back forward, reach the arms all the way up to the sky, right ankle, left thigh, sit back, standing pigeon, hands can come together. You could also fold forward, playing with bringing the hands down in front of you. Hands come back together in front of the heart. Set the right foot down, reach the arms up, chair pose. This time, hands come together in front of the heart, twist to the right. If you want to go deep, you hook the elbow outside of the right thigh, but if it's too much, skip it. Chest is reaching forward, then you lift it, hips go down, try to keep the knees side by side. So you've got the inner thigh and the outer thigh pressing into one another, just like your hands are. Back to center, reach the arms up, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose. Any way you want, get back to downward facing dog. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. On the exhale, lion's breath, stick the tongue out, bulge the eyes. Right leg reaches up and back. Right foot outside of the right hand, wide lizard lunge. Keep the chest going forward. So you're halfway there. Step the left foot outside of the left hand. Find a version of a yogi squat that's working for you. Chest lifted. If the hands are together, you can keep the feet solid on the mat. We can add a twist and a shoulder opening here. Left arm can come down. You need it to come down low so that the left shoulder is below the left knee. Left hand on the ground, reach the right arm up. Keep that right knee away from the center of the mat. You can stay here with the arms out wide. You could play with a half bind or the full bind, wrapping the arms around that left knee. Chest is still lifted. If you've got that, open up the arms wide. Bring the right hand down to the mat, hands together in front of the heart. Bring the hands down to the mat, straighten the legs, turn the toes to point forward, step that left foot back, wide lizard lunge, right leg goes up and back, three-legged down dog. Step the right foot all the way through, up between the hands, spin the left heel down flat, reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Hands come back down to the mat. You're on the ball of the back foot. Step the left foot up to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana chair pose. Weight goes into the right foot. Left knee comes up into the chest. Come up to standing. Find that twist. Right hand, right knee, left knee, reach the left arm back. You could play with grabbing the outer edge of the left foot and extending that left foot forward. It doesn't need to be all the way straight, but we didn't do a lot of that kind of opening, so that's why I haven't been offering it. Chest is lifted. Reach the arms up overhead, gaze forward, chest forward, left ankle, right thigh, hands come together, sit back, find standing pigeon. Maybe hands come down to the mat. There's an arm balance here too if you want to play with it, but your hands need to be flat on the ground. You need to be able to wedge this left shin up underneath the underarms, and then it's like chaturanga arms. You shift forward. Okay, hands come together if they're down on the mat. Left foot next to the right foot. Chair pose, reach the arms up. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Open the chest to the left. Hook the right elbow outside of the left thigh. Look down at the feet. So stay in the twist. Look down at the feet. Step that right foot back, coming into a lunge, but keep the twist. Look down at the mat, hands to the mat. Right knee comes down to the mat, half splits. So shift the hips back, lift the left toes up, push that heel forward until you can find a good scissoring action of the inner thighs. Chest is going forward. And hands can stay where they are. Another option in your half splits, you could take this right hand and bring it outside the left leg. And that gets into the outer edge of that left leg a little differently. Skip it if it's not feeling good, but it's something to play with. Spread the toes on the left foot. Keep reaching the chest forward at an angle, more toward the left corner of the mat. Okay, hands come back underneath the shoulders, slide onto the sole of the left foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, hands down. Vinyasa if you want, back to downward facing dog. All right, we'll even this out and then take it home. So left leg reaches up and back, three-legged down dog. Step the left foot forward outside the left hand, wide lizard lunge. Take it to your yogi squat, right foot outside of the right hand. Maybe the hands come together in front of the heart. So you can stay here or take any of these options and stop where you're comfortable. Right hand comes down, get that shoulder low, left arm reaches up, make sure that left knee is still moving away from the mat. Half bind or full bind around that bent right leg. Release the clasp of the hands, open up the arms wide, come back to your malasana facing forward. Then bring the hands down underneath you, turn the toes to point forward, right foot steps back, wide lizard lunge. Back to your three-legged down dog, left leg goes up and back. Step the left foot all the way through, up between the hands, spin the right heel down flat, reverse warrior. Left hand outside the foot or forearm to thigh, right arm up and over, extended side angle. Right hand down to the mat. You're on the ball, the back foot. Step that right foot up to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Reach the heart forward, hug the belly in. Exhale, fold, chair pose, Utkatasana. Right knee comes in toward the chest, come up to standing. Open the chest to the right, reach back with that right arm, hang on to the knee or outer edge of the right foot. Arms reach up to the sky, chest forward, right ankle, left thigh, standing pigeon. Hands come together, shift the hips back. Maybe hands come down to the mat in front of you. See if you can wedge that shin up behind the underarms. It's not happening for me today. Your hands need to be flat on the floor. You make chaturanga arms, shift the weight forward into the hands, and that's your flying pigeon arm balance if you're taking that variation. Slowly start to bring the hands together in front of the heart if you're not there already. Right foot steps down, chair pose. Hands together in front of the heart, twist to the right, hook the elbow outside of the right thigh. Keep those knees even, chest going forward, look down, step the left foot back behind you for your twisted lunge. Keep that twist, chest can lift, hips can go a little lower, elbows are wide. Look down at the mat, hands to the mat, set that back knee down, shift the hips back, walking the hands back, lifting the right toes, push the heel forward, reach the heart forward over those right toes, half splits, Ardha Hanuman. Left hand can stay where it is, or if you feel pretty strong in the legs and have enough stability, you could bring that left hand over to the outside the right leg on the mat. Chest is still reaching forward at an angle. Back to center with your half splits. Slide onto the sole of the right foot, hands down to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step that right foot back to plank pose. Maybe a vinyasa. It's your last one. Right leg lifts up and back, three-legged down dog. Take single pigeon or come onto your back for thread the needle, whichever one your knee's okay with. Shift the left leg back, keep the chest lifted, top of the foot of the left foot down evenly on the mat. So you're pointing the big toes back, and then bring the hands outside the hips, squeeze the hips together, lift the chest. So you're keeping the chest lifted for the single pigeon, trying to square everything so that you feel even on the hips. And now start to come forward over the right shin, maybe coming down onto the forearms, chest. Seeing what's within reach, not beyond your reach. One hand at a time, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, lifting the chest, tuck the back toes, lift the hips, right foot goes back, down dog. So you can pedal out the feet, you can take some circles with that right knee. You decide what would feel better as a counter. Then when you're ready, both feet down, downward facing dog, left leg reaches up and back. Send that left shin forward toward the arms. Left knee goes out to the side. Scoot that right leg back and then rest the top of the foot on the mat. Bring the hands outside the hips. Squeeze the hips together. Lift the chest. So you'll feel how everything gets settled underneath you. And then you start to walk the hands forward, coming down onto the forearms, maybe using blocks. The head and the chest want to come all the way down, that's fine too. Just make sure your left knee is silent. If it's not, that's your cue to take thread the needle on your back. In single pigeon, we're trying to find that balance of where to bring the left shin. So your foot might be right next to the right hip. That's fine. If there's room to bring it forward without much effort, you can. But if that's where it wants to be, just leave it. The more forward your left shin is, the more important it is for that left foot to be flexed to protect the left knee. But if your left foot is back, it's difficult to flex it, and it's not as important because the knee and the foot aren't parallel to one another. You'll start to lift the head and the chest, coming back up onto the hands, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, send that left foot back, down dog, either pedaling out the feet or moving that left knee around in circles. Whatever you did on the first side is probably a good idea on this side to keep things even, if possible. Then coming to your downward facing dog, glide forward to plank pose, lower all the way down onto your stomach. Bring the forearms down underneath you. Try to get the elbows in line with the shoulders, hands in line with the elbows. So sometimes we'll see the hands come in. Make sure they're going straight forward. And then press into the tops of the feet, lift and spread the chest, tail points back, Sphinx pose. So you're trying to make some width across the chest and the shoulder blades. Legs are firm. So you can certainly do this shape with relaxed legs, but we want to keep the whole body engaged in this version of Sphinx pose. We're in our yang part of practice, so it's not yin. It's the opposite. It's active. We don't hold poses as long. The body's warm. We're not cooling it down just yet. We'll get into that after this. Keep the chest lifted, shoulder blades going across the back. Start to bring the chin down toward the chest. Try not to collapse the chest. And then bring the left ear over toward the left shoulder, feeling that length in the right side of the neck. Chin comes down toward the chest. Right ear, right shoulder. Feel the length on the left side of the neck. You got to keep that left shoulder moving away from you. And then you'll just go side to side with these half moon shapes, circles of the head. This can be really relaxing. So just be mindful of the chest still reaching forward, heart still reaching forward over the fingers. Once you finish the cycle that you're on, you'll come back to your Sphinx pose with the head lifted, but still being able to look down the bridge of the nose and rest. Rest the head on top of the hands. You can stack the hands, let the legs and the feet go. So toes can start to point toward the center of the mat. Ankles can roll out. Stay here. Some people like to lift the feet up and move the feet side to side like windshield wipers. Be mindful of your lower back. That can aggravate it if you have something going on there. So if that's the case for you, skip it. Then set the feet back down onto the mat, hands to the mat, come up to hands and knees. Take child's pose, big toes together, sit the hips back, forehead down to the mat, arms out in front of you or arms back behind you, depending on how low the hips are. If the hips are low enough, then this is a nice way to get some rounding in the upper back that can feel good. If your hips are up high, it's hard to bring your arms back, so just skip it if it doesn't seem possible. Bring the hands underneath you, lifting the head and the chest. Feet come over to one side, come to seated. If you need to scoot forward on your mat, take a moment to do that. Come on down onto your back. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg out in front of you. So we're coming into a twist. Sometimes when we do one leg to the side, it can not be great for our lower back if there's something going on there. So you may want to do two knees together and go to one side. If your lower back is fine, take this right knee, bring it over to the left, reach back with the right arm, hand in line with the shoulder. Left hand can rest somewhere on the body. And even if you don't have anything going on in the lower back and you're feeling tenderness there, then bring the knees together in your twist. You could even put a block between the knees, and that definitely preserves the space in the lower back so that you can twist safely. You want that right hip to be stacked on top of the left hip, left foot, left hip, head in one line. And come back to center, soles of the feet to the mat, find center on your back, hug the left knee in toward the chest. You can start to extend that right leg forward. Same options as before. If this is working, bring this left knee over to the right. You need to shimmy onto the side of that right hip. So you get the hips stacked. Reach that left arm back behind you. Maybe the gaze goes over the left arm if your neck's okay with that. Right hand can rest on the body. You find your reclined spinal twist on this side. Make your way back to center on your back, soles of the feet to the mat. Bring the knees in toward the chest. Open up the knees wide. Take happy baby. So maybe you can reach the calves, ankles, inner or outer edges of the feet. Make sure the knees are wider than the torso, hips going down toward the mat, flexing the feet, and then pulling back on whatever you have with the hands. If you want to rock side to side, you can rock side to side if that feels okay. And when you think about this shape, we're just taking a yogi squat and we're flipping it upside down. So you're on your back instead of putting weight on your feet. Bring the knees in toward the chest, close the eyes, take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, Shavasana. Extend the legs out in front of you. Arms down by the sides. Turn the palms to face up. Let go of the breath control and any effort you're still hanging on to in the body. And anything else in the body that you're hanging on to that you really don't need, you let that go out through the soles of the feet. And you'll start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Stretch the arms overhead, reaching out through the legs. Walk the feet in, bending the knees. Rolling over to your right side, resting the head on the bicep or cradling the head on the arm, left hand on the mat in front of you. Press into the left hand. Bring yourself up to a comfortable seat. Sitting up tall, chest lifted, bringing the hands together in front of you. Slight bow of the head. Honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up. Blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice. I hope you had a good one. I'll see you next time.